happening?
Looking good. All right there. So, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, lovely people. I am absolutely stoked to introduce this beautiful person next to me to you, Paolo, my beautiful soul brother, Paul Barnat. I want to tell you a quick story, like I always do, before I get Paul to introduce himself, how we actually met. Paul and I met more than a decade ago, meanwhile. So it was in my initial coaching training. Paul was already a little bit ahead of me. You were in the crew looking after us when I did my my first weekend living now to get into that space, and then did my training. So we had a lot of crossovers. We did some training together as well. And yeah, there's actually a little bit that I want to share, but I'm going to do that a little bit later, which is quite funny. And we keep that for into the conversation. I think you know what I'm talking about.
Oh dear.
Yay! All right, Paul, would you do us the honor and introduce yourself to the audience? Welcome and thanks for being here.
Thanks so much. It's absolute pleasure to experience and be part of your amazing tribe, and you know what you do is so good. Yeah, well, I'm Paul today. I guess
Find us here.
yeah, met you before. As Marie said, we started our coaching long time ago, and our friendship kind of grown from there. And I suppose we've just been intertwined in how we work. Like we've always wanted to help and to serve in some form. So you know, we've done so much together and so much in our own journeys, but also brought it all back together and doing more work together now, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Again, you know, it's a long time in the making, but we've had some amazing journeys, some challenging, some good, some bad sort of journeys in our life. And I guess my part in this role is sharing a bit of what I've been through, what I do now, and how that has affected and helped me to get through some challenges in my life, and how I help others as well through that. And a lot of my work now, the foundation is the coaching, but I have a lot of different modalities that link everything together. So working with the mindset, working with breath work, working with spirit and energy, and working with the physical as well. So
and I can promise you, nothing that we're going to share here is even going to scratch the surface. It's just incredible. What you do, Paul, is really incredible. I have no words for that. And our aim is really to bring you a little bit closer, the opportunities, the possibilities that there are, and some of the work that you do, Paul, is just so beautiful. I really benefit from it on a regular basis. We do breathwork meditation together every Tuesday morning. So we had one this morning, and we're like, see you in 2 hours. So here we are. You know, I'd really love for you, Paul, to share a little bit about the background, because we're not always in this space of, you know, being here in front of camera and sharing, and then like really confidently helping other people is such a huge key element of your own journey and how you got to where you're at now. So if it's okay with you, I'd really like to take people back to how you actually started. How did you feel when you were growing up? Like you were not always your usual confident self like you are now. So can you take us back to the very beginning, and then we work our way up to how you got to be who you are today? I know we've been over an hour, but we'll get there.
I'll do my best. Well, it all began a long time ago in a place unknown. Yeah, absolutely. It's been such a big journey to get to this space where I'm actually can talk to people for one, let alone getting on camera and being able to share what I've been through. I was quite a anxious kid, emotional kid when I was growing up. At the time, like I guess, you know, usual, I was born and then I grew up a bit. It was more about going into teenagehood where, you know, you're starting to try and figure yourself out and figure life out and who knows what, and, you know, few years down the track, still trying to do that as always. But I found it quite challenging to be in social environments, being around people and connect with people. So I guess I started to try to be like other people as opposed to be myself. Not that I knew it at the time. I just wanted to be able to be connected with people and have friends, as you know, as you do as a kid. So I started being this person that became a certain group for a time, and then realizing that that wasn't me, and then I'd move on to the next sort of group. But I'd have a lot of friends, but in different aspects. I was never being myself, and so from that, I guess your body and your mind always put you into a place of, well, this isn't right. I'm going to shake your body up so you can get put into a place of you need to learn something. So, you know, mid to late teenage years, I was going through quite a lot of anxiety, social anxiety, where I wouldn't be able to go to social outings or parties and stuff like that without almost to the point of vomiting before, because I was so anxious, and breathing was really bad.
Yeah.
And I suppose it's quite challenging to go to that space or to put yourself out and then to go and be social and just like, hey, I'm the light of the party. I used to do that to cover up that I was scared out of my wits, kind of go into that space. And I suppose over time, that created health issues. I just had different health issues that came up for me that I didn't know at the time, but then I found, I don't know, I'm kind of in and out here with the journey, but a friend of mine started a meditation, or started doing meditation. He said, come along, because I started looking for how do I deal with these emotions that were coming up for me. And not knowing or having many people around me that were on the same sort of boat. Well, I thought, well, a mate reached out to me and said, come to these meditation classes, which is where it all began.
What age was it roughly when you started that?
I was 18, 17, 18. Yeah, I started meditating at 17, just my own sort of stuff. But then actually joining the group, which was a 2-year course. It wasn't just meditating, I was doing energy work and connecting with, you know, your higher self. It's part of the training. But it's basically started the journey, but saved my life at the same time, figuring out that I could find ways without having to go down the medication space to help heal my body, which is a big one. And through that, I guess going right back, here's a little key, this planted the seed to get me to this point of wanting to look for alternatives. When I was 7 years old, and it's a very clear memory of my grandmother sitting next to me when I was sick in bed one time. She was looking after us. She's like, Paul, you know, you can heal yourself when you're asleep. You can heal yourself with your mind. Not thinking much or anything of it back then, but it planted the seed to that point where now I'm now teaching that to my kids as well. And they love it. They're like, all right, I'm going to heal while I'm sleeping, which is great. And they're 3 and 4 now. Anyway, so that journey continued on. And it's like, the more I explored, the more I wanted to know how or what's capable or what's possible with our minds, with our bodies and all that sort of thing. Still having the anxiety at that stage as well.
And I think, you know, when you're a teenager, I think this whole behavior in terms of you want to be liked, you want to be accepted, you do copy and paste other people's behavior that you perceive as cool or likable or lovable. And it's such a normal thing as a teenager. I mean, it is called a modeling phase, you know, from the 14 till 21 for a reason, because we do model other people's behavior where we think, oh, that's cool or that's lovable and I want to be like that person, so I'm going to portray that same behavior. And I think in that phase, it's also like it's so important for us because that's where we get to know ourselves. This is where we can really find, oh, this is actually really me, that works for me, or that is really not me. It works on the outside, but on the inside, it creates this gap, this discrepancy between who I really feel I am and, you know, the class clown, like all these things. I did that a lot in my growing up out of insecurities, just being the class clown because it was fun and it made people laugh and it made people love me. And I had to find myself in that whole internal turmoil. So I can fully relate to what you're saying here. And I think that a lot of people can relate to that because that's what we all do. It's defining ourselves, but for some people it comes with a lot more anxiety or other challenges, and for others a little bit less, depending on where they stand and what support network they have. So I just love what your grandmother said to you. That's incredible. Awesome seed planted there.
Solid foundation.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. And when you go into it, and I suppose it's like most people, you don't know what that is or what it means at the times until down the track and go, I went through that experience and that has helped me to kind of become the person that I've become. And everyone has these moments. And this is the more and more I learn, the more and more I realize that we're all in the same boat. Yeah. Our experiences are different in some form, yet we're all emotional if we allow ourselves to be or to understand that.
Yeah.
And there's ways to work with it and to utilize it. I used to do, when I first started doing hypnotherapy and coaching forms of work, was always about, let's heal that, let's fix that, let's do this. This has come into a big full circle to now is like, let's use that, let's work with it, because it's part of our life.
Yeah.
It's part of our journey, our experience that has put us into a place of strength and power if we look at it. And you find, if you dig into it, you'll see how it's helped you now.
Yeah.
Even if it's a raw wound, it's still helping you to find your feet or use your life journey to realize how strong you really are in the challenging times, especially now. Like, there's so much going on, personally, globally, emotionally, that everyone's feeling it in some form. So the key, and this is what I use when working with people doing a physical sort of training, is to, when you're under stress, have a look at what is your response to that. Do you stop? Do you pull back? Do you keep going and push forward? Do you freeze? Do you get excited because it's like, here's a challenge, we're going to push through it? Or do you just completely just drop it because you don't want to be a part of it or face it? It's such a key way, like through my journey of tapping into mind and how the mind works and emotions and all that. It's like electricity. It's in there, it works and something's going on, but how do you figure that stuff out in a simplistic way without having to go and do 1,000
How do you plug
degrees
in without electrocuting yourself? How do you direct that energy into the right place so the light bulb comes up? Yeah, I really love that analogy. It's amazing.
Yeah, and it's such a key thing. And this is where I put it into my one of my workshops that I run. I get people to do a physical exercise, put a bit of positive pressure, I call it. But it's just doing a simple exercise that puts you under a bit of stress for a couple of minutes. And then get everyone to tap into what's going on up here. What's the voices saying? What are you feeling? What do I want to stop? Do I want to give up? Do I want to push forward? And that's a way to tap in and find out where your triggers are or where your strengths are. And so once you get conscious of that, you can work with it. And that's on any level. People put positive or negative, it's still possible to work with all of it. And this is where I'm coming back to, instead of transforming and changing and fixing, we're transmuting, which is rising above it and using.
Music to my ears.
Yeah. So we get to use our all of us instead of being separated from parts because it hurt. Or
I really love that you say that, because in the space that we're here, in Loving Life After Loss, it is something that we deal with so often, that people try to fix something where, like, and then in so many grief support groups, you get this, there'll always be a hole in my heart, this will never get better. And I'm like, these are all the labels that we are putting on, and I replace this with, there'll always be a space in my heart for Rob, and there always will be. He'll always be a huge part of my life. He'll always be the father to my children, to our children, and it's it's all such a perspective game, as we know. And for me, it was literally, I could feel my heart open when you said, let's use this rather than let's fix this. There is nothing to fix, you know. Everything that happens happens in divine timing. And even though that is really hard to accept for a lot of people, in particular in that space of grief, you know, how can that be right that my husband passes at 45? I really trust that there is divine timing for everything, but I also understand that it takes time and allowing to understand this divine plan and to accept this divine plan. And we are here and we can work against it and we're like, no, this isn't right, and try everything to prove that, which is, you know, really, with all due respect, but wasted energy. Or we can sit here with an open heart and an open mind and see what are the gifts for me in this. I like to call them the hidden gifts in adversity, because this is what I always find. No matter what adversity we hit, there is always hidden gifts in that. And I really love when you say, you know, let's work with this. This is exactly, you know, this is talking straight to my heart. How can I work with this? How can I not try to pretend this was a mistake and try to fix something that doesn't need to be fixed? You know, how can I work with this? This is really beautiful. I want people to really allow that in and really see what that does to them or for them when you allow that into your heart. How can I work with this? This is such a beautiful gift in itself. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, it's such a, sounds like a simple sort of concept, which when you break it down, it can be, I think, but any form of emotion, when we're in the emotion, it's quite a challenging aspect to pull yourself out sometimes, especially when when we are talking about trauma, you know, and then sometimes from excuse me, from the trauma we end up having band-aids to try and fix it, or to cover it, or to ease that pain and the emotion around stuff. It's very hard to get to that point.
I'm just going to read out this comment because Susan said, love is eternal. I totally agree. You know, I always refer to it as the eternal power source. It's always there. Love is always there. We can plug in at any given time. And when we don't, we feel the effects instantly, you know, when we're not plugged in, when we're disconnected. And yeah, it's a timely reminder.
100%. A great little analogy I'd like to kind of put out there when I'm working with people is, and I use it for myself all the time, it's as the emotional guidance system, and keeping it as simple as possible. In terms of, in emotions, we can get caught up in the story with the emotion and what's driving us with that. Yet at the same time, when we're trying to navigate ourselves through it, how do we do that? How do we fix that? How do we transmute that? How do we get into that next stage? And the guidance system, and keep it as simple as this rule, is like, if it feels good, do more of that. If it doesn't feel so good, do less of that. Use those two polarities just to guide yourself through. It's like, if I'm sitting in this grief and this pain, yes, of course, it's a continual and a timely thing. Yet sometimes what we do with that is either that we, and this is the same sort of form I use with the physical, do we stop, curl up in a ball and hold back? Do we get up and just go and get some fresh air? Change the concept, and checking in with yourself. What would feel better? You know, keeping it simple. What would make me feel just a little bit better than right now?
And it's not always easy, but it is that simple, you know. And Terry's saying exactly that simple as well. Emotions are energy, totally, you know, and we can allow them in or not. We can sit with them and allow, like I always say, like even the hardest emotions, even the triggering ones, the challenging emotions, are here to bring us lessons, are here to bring us a message. And it is up to us how ready we are for them, if we open up to that message or not. So there's always a lot of choice to be made, you know. What do we do with it? What do we do with it? It's such a powerful question and so simple. Paul, I want to guide you back, because we kind of got a bit sidetracked on the path, which I knew would happen with us all along. So back to when you got into the 2 years course. So you went into meditation and learning to sit with your higher self, and tell us a little bit where you went from there, because our path crossed about a decade or two later.
Yeah. Well, from that course, it's part of within while I was still doing that course, there was a side part of their business, which was hypnotherapy. I was like, that sounds interesting. Hadn't heard anything about it before. So they had an open day sort of thing where you go and experience it and see what it's all about. Yeah. And I went in there and just like, wow, this is what you can do, what with your mind, and it helps you in so many ways, and things that we're not tapping into. Because like I'd been blown away by the work we did and the experience through meditation, and this was just like just another flow-on piece of it. Yeah. I knew a little bit about it, sorry, because both my uncles, one of my uncles is still teaching. He works with kids in schools, it's psychology and hypnotherapy and stuff with them, and help them out that way. My other uncle does NLP, which is another neuro-linguistic programming form of working with the mind. So it's always been sort of there in the family, and I guess you flow on with that. Like it's family has its place to support you. Yeah. Anyway, so I ended up doing that course, the hypno course, with them, tapping into it and realizing that there's so much that's untapped in our mind. I also got offered from that 2-year course to become a facilitator, a teacher of the course, which is it's a pretty big deal with them, because they have like hundreds of people in New South Wales wide, and she picks 5 people out of them. Wow. And so I managed to get my foot in the door to become a facilitator. Yeah. Now, going back to what Terry said earlier about emotions and energy, this is where that anxiety started happening or learning from. Yeah. Because then I was still quite scared of talking to people. Like I was friendly and could talk with people, but then talking in front of a crowd about an experience. So my first day of teaching, I had 20 people. That was like an induction day. I was doing these ones. I created a hypnotherapy tape for myself. This is back when cassette tapes were in cars. Yeah. Driving to my class with my tape playing, which you're not meant to play hypno while you're driving. I know, sorry. But at the time, it was like a reinforcement affirmation to calm myself down, use the energy, use the anxiety. Back then, it was more of a fix it and shift it sort of motion. But as I've grown with the experience and knowing that I love teaching and love being up and, being able to share information in front of people, that experience grew and grew. Anxiety was always there and it still is to this day. Yet I found a way to use the energy, because found out, like Terry said, it is just energy. So when you're anxious, your body's either getting tense, and then there's frustration, there's emotions in your belly. And breathwork came into it to be able to shift the energy up and out and turn it into energy on the stage. So I'll be like about to present and ready to have vomit in a bucket, to getting ready to go up on the stage, still feeling that way, but then hitting a switch and go, right, new hat on the stage. Yeah. And used it, which allowed me to tap in and trust that experience. So this is where the transmuting began.
That's incredible. And it's so incredible. And I love when people are watching this, and welcome Lexi, by the way. I can't believe you're still up. She's from Austria. Just learning to use things that are happening in your life rather than always trying to fix it. It's the same message over again, I love that. I want to share that little story. It's maybe a little bit earlier in your timeline now, but it really brought it back to me, and I think I want to quickly share this, what happened when we were sitting in the back of the room at Living Now, and the Live It Now was a weekend that they did as an introduction weekend for people to learn about that coaching space. And it was a 2-day weekend, very action-packed and very much about shifting things and transforming things. And Paul and I were sitting in the back. We were crewing at that Live It Now, and you were about to present for the first time in the Live It Now space. Like, you were always crewing and helping out, but it was the first time that you actually presented. And I remember you getting changed, because I know you in jeans and t-shirts basically, you know, and you were getting ready and you had your suit on and you brought your suit for the presentation and everything, and I could see you sitting there and your leg was going a million miles an hour and you were like in the zone and trying to do your thing. And I looked over and we had this joke about Kung Fu Panda. There is no prize for awesomeness. I don't know how and when that came in, but whoever, let me know in the comments below if you watched that movie, Kung Fu Panda. And I saw you sitting there and I wrote that on a piece of paper, there is no prize for awesomeness. And I handed it over to you and I could see the big smile on your face when you read it, and you put it in your pocket. I still remember that. You put it in your chest pocket, and when you presented, you had it there. And out of that, we actually created a gathering of awesomeness.
Yeah, didn't we? Yeah.
Because it was that running gag between us. You know, there is no prize for awesomeness. And then we had a gathering. There was 4 of us, all in that coaching space, all in the, you know, trying to break into that world and make a living from it and create our own businesses. So that is a really beautiful memory for me, because it feels so ancient now, but it still makes me smile when I think back. And it was also this, you know, this such a beautiful and fun example of shifting an energy from nervousness or anxiety into fun and using it and having a laugh and then taking that with you, literally. So yeah, I absolutely love this. We've had a few of those moments.
Yeah,
over the years.
a lot of those. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. That's it. And this is a big thing I've learned along the line too. And I like to do this.
Romana! Sorry, I had to say Romana just popped up.
Romana. Consciously or unconsciously, is to bring in a laugh before we go into the meditations. Yeah. Now, what I've learned through that, it actually opens up your heart space and releases emotion. So if you're feeling anxious or nervous or tense or stressed or anything like that, having a good belly laugh just helps you to naturally bring it out and use the emotion. Like, even if it's a forced laugh. I know my jokes aren't always the best. I got some really good dad jokes, but I do my best, and then it lightens the energy for the people, for yourself as well. So yeah. You know what you're saying with that story is like, it just big grin on the chin, seeing that little note, you know, made all the difference of me in my head, literally just going, can't do this. I'm ready to run out the back door, full of you know, the anxious butterflies in the belly, to using it as a bit of a laugh and a giggle, shifted that emotion and transformed it into, you know, all right, just get up there and have a crack, just go, you know. And what Matt used to always say is like, go up there, mess it up, just go anyway, do it anyway. Yeah. It's like when he sent me to, and this is part of that journey. Yeah. He threw me in the deep end one time and said, I've double booked myself. I need you to go and do a presentation to 80 therapists down in Darling Harbour for me. And I was like, what? Sure. And by the way, you've got 3 days to learn this script, which was like pages and pages of, you know, Matt's years of experience, just knows it off the top of his head. Yeah. And I was, again, completely just totally nervous. And his lines again, just, I won't swear, but go and mess it up. You know, if you do good, great, but if you mess it up, great. You know, learn from it. And I really did mess it up. And I was so down on myself and was harsh on myself for that moment. And I was meant to go back to Live It Now that day and do my other presentation in the event as well. And I was so close to not going back. And then and my wife helped me, and she kind of like, come on, just go and have a go. And then Maddie called me, and I went back in, and I just, again, like the difference from that morning moment to that moment, because I knew my stuff for that next presentation, the energy that I had, it was like this power from the frustration of messing it up to not wanting to do that, but still had the emotion running, but used it. And it was like the most fun I'd had in a long time of doing any presentation. It's just that transition and shift in
I think it's also that allowing yourself to be real on stage. You know, I think that's an art that a lot of people, well, it really takes time to learn that art when you're on. Some people have got that naturally, but for me, it definitely took time to allow myself to be me on stage and to be real with that and to just share, you know, your ups and downs, your ins and outs. Sometimes I go into a talk and I halfway through the talk, all of a sudden I realize all these really deep things come up and I'll share them and I'm like, shit, I didn't even want to go that deep. What am I doing? How do I get back out of that? And I always do, but it's just really incredible. And you know, coming to that space of allowing yourself to be real and sharing that raw, real. And this is where the magic happens really, when you get to that space where it doesn't matter anymore. Just mess it up. It's fine, you know, and it's just, that's where people probably learn the most and get to know you the most, because it's so authentic. And I just really love that. And you certainly have a lot of stories to tell about that.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, there is, and that's, you know, a constant sort of processing as you learn on your journey too. And it always comes back to surrendering to a point, because you consciously think that you need to know how to do everything and get it right every single time. And it's just that conscious moment of going, I have to know the steps, especially if anyone that has anxiety. It's like, to create a system helps you to deal with that, as opposed to go, I need to be flexible and free flowing. It doesn't quite work when the anxiety kicks in. You're like, I need to know how this is going to plan out and work. Yet within the ability to learn over time, is flexibility is probably one of my biggest strengths now. To have a plan, yes. If it doesn't go to plan, it's okay. Just kind of jump on that boat and you know, see where it takes you. And it's such a big step. And so with that, surrendering becomes a trust moment.
Surrender and exhale. Love it. Yes, absolutely, Terry.
And
hey, Tony.
So I guess the trust in that becomes not trusting your surroundings, not trusting the process. It's trusting that you've got your own back. And this is probably the biggest part. There's lots of big parts, but this is another big part. And it's such a key to right now, is like, bring yourself back into your space to feel like the compassion for yourself and kindness for yourself, because there's so often we share it and give it to so many people easily and freely. Yet how often do you stop and give it to yourself? Say stop, time out. I don't have to keep pushing to make my business, my relationships, or whatever's going on, push to make it happen. Yet again, going back to your guidance system, the emotions, what is it that's going to take you on that journey and allow you to feel kindness and that, feel that for you. Take time out for you. Do something nice.
Incredible. I love that you bring that up, because like between the breathwork meditation we did early morning and our interview here, I've been in my mentoring group, and you know, we always have this get shit done session on a Tuesday morning. I love it. It's like 45 minutes. Everybody gets like a couple of minutes where we just go through, okay, where are your wins, where are these, and the wins is always the one thing that gets all of us. Like, we just brush over, I've done that, but you know, and we don't stop to actually celebrate that. And that's that part of the self-compassion and a kindness towards yourself implies, you know, the just stopping for yourself as well, not just always for other people, and realizing the greatness within us that we so brush over because we're so taught to not stop there and not, you know, this is ego driven, and it's got nothing to do with ego. It's the celebrating ourselves, the practicing kindness, practicing compassion towards ourselves. That is so important, and that we have not really learned well. Our society doesn't teach that stuff very well. So I really feel there is a massive shift that's been happening over the last 10, 20 years, where these things are coming into play more and more, and are more and more important, and also seen as important from our environment. And I feel that you play a huge part in that. You've certainly played a huge part in my life in recognizing that and living that and breathing that, literally. So I I don't even know where to start, because we're like more than halfway into it and we haven't even scratched halfway of that. But I want to get further along on your journey. So you've done the meditation training, you've done NLP, you've done the, connecting with your higher self, learning about self-compassion, learning about how to use your nervous energy, your anxiety, to actually use that for yourself. You've done so much training. I really want to get to the point where we also talk about the breath work, because this is something that has come on top of the pile of so many other trainings that you've done. There is a lot of spiritual and coaching work that you've done, trainings that you've done, things that you have taught, workshops that you have facilitated. There's a whole endless list. When and how did breathwork come into play? Because that's now a huge part of your journey of what you do.
Yeah, well, it's specific training for it I did last year during the first lockdown, when I retired from like working a job and jumped straight into this head first, more full-time. Well, it was full-time. And so part of that was, within everything that I've done, even going back to the first course, like meditation there's breathing in it, there's breath work within that space, but it's not it's like, all right, take a few deep breaths and let's go into a journey. Hypnotherapy, massive part of it is the breath leading into it. And it's always been there. It's always been on the journey, but it wasn't until 20 years down the track that I'm like, oh, I've been using it all this time, because I was looking through some of my old books, taking it back about 12 or so years ago. I started working in the fitness industry. There's a chunk in between that, but there was a point that I started writing some meditations that I was taking to the gym. I took it to the gym and said, can I run some meditation classes? I said, yeah. It was a stretching and relaxing. So it was stretching and meditation, and then just became meditation. My very first class was, let's start with the breath. And back then it was just like a thought. It wasn't a specific target or how to do it. It was just like, I just knew it helped calm the body down without the specifics and the science behind it. So I suppose that was the beginning, but then to get more in depth in it, how long ago now? Maybe 5-6 years ago, had a huge, almost like a meltdown, anxious meltdown from overworking, pushing hard, doing 80-hour weeks, trying to, at the time I was managing a gym, a big gym. And I'd never done that before. So I was just like all in, trying to work out how to be a manager for one, how to run a gym. Like I always worked in one, but managing was a different story. But then there was so much else, other things going on. And so I ended up having like a little, I don't know what you call it, a breakdown, I suppose. Breakdown, locked myself in my house for a couple of weeks. It's not funny, but it was quite terrible and confronting. And within that space, there's the panic attacks and the anxiety that was, I wouldn't even go outdoors. I had the curtains closed. If I did go outside, hat on, hood on, sunglasses, head down, just to get some fresh air sort of thing. Couldn't be around people. I came across some breath work, which is Wim Hof breath work, which is quite popular now. It was kind of like, I think it was just starting off back then, and started to tap into that form of breath work. Like it was a specific just breath work, not any meditation or anything to do with it. It's just the breath work in itself. And it helped me get out of, again, that moment of the breakdown. I was seeing a doctor a couple of times, and they're like, go see a psychologist, and then eventually ended up going, here's some medication to help you. And like my whole life has been about not having, or being able to find a way to not deal with the situations through medication. I guess through my upbringing was part of that. And so when I didn't know what else to do, so I took went to take the medication, and I had a little bit of it. I just had half of what I was recommended, and my body just went into full meltdown because it knew you don't take this.
Oh my God.
And so, and that it just, my whole internal drive of who I am didn't believe in that. Like, I'm sure it's got its place and it helps a lot of people, but for me specifically, that didn't work. And I knew it wasn't going to work. So I got rid of them straight away, threw them in the bin.
And sorry to interrupt. I'm just glad that you put the disclaimer in there because, you know, for everybody watching this, we fully understand there is different needs and different people. And what I love about what you share here, Paul, is that you trusted your gut instinct. You gave it a go and you're like, no, my body's not liking that. And also making sure that you obviously have the right support, you know, or talk to your doctor about that. And for everybody to find what's right for them and find the right support. I think that's a big message here. I always have to put that medical disclaimer out there when we talk about things like that, because it's really, really important to not go like, oh, it didn't work for Paul, so I can stop too. So you really need to make sure that you make these decisions with your doctor and yeah, consult them if you
absolutely because there is a process.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, I'm not a doctor. I just knew what worked for me, and I researched and did the work and got help to get me through that. And then the breathwork became a major part of that for me. You know, it worked for me on so many levels. Having asthma as well was a big part, especially back then when I was in the fitness industry. Like, I was fit and healthy, but then there'll be times where you need your medication through for your asthma. So I was like, all right, let's see how that can help me as well. Which it definitely has, like, still there, but it helps me to deal with things differently. Because in line with asthma, it's like a restrictive breathing. I don't know even the name for it, but that creates more anxiety. So all of this combined has helped me to learn how to utilize the breath on so many levels, physically, emotionally, for energy, to have more clearer focus. And I was just using it for me. Like, everything that I've done, I've just used it for me. And then people go, oh, how did that help you? And then I start helping them in a form. I guess through my experience, I've gone through a lot and been able to share that with others, which has helped.
What really blows me away, like because I had heard of Wim Hof before I talked to you, but really not much. And then I got more and more into it through, it was also a bit of a hype there, as in, you know, more and more people started doing it and it kind of spread around like the new craze or the new thing. And I all of a sudden saw all these pictures popping up on Facebook of people like the ice bucket challenge. And then all of a sudden they're all sitting in that ice bucket. They're all having these ice baths, and I'm thinking, oh my God, how on earth can people do that? This is nothing further away from me than the idea of sitting in an ice bucket basically, or in an ice bath. And there are people that do that on a daily basis, and I'm like, okay, cold shower, I can deal with that, I can do that, I can handle it, and I actually love it. I love what it does to my system. It makes me awake instantly, and it makes me really happy instantly, which is crazy. But doing that anyway. So I have to say, through you, I learned a lot more about Wim Hof, and what really touched me deeply, obviously, is the reason why he did what he was doing. And you were the one who sent me the video. And just listening to you now, I felt like I really want to see if we can find that video again in one of our conversations, or if you still know where it is, to actually share it here in a group, because I think it's such a beautiful story, in particular in the space that we work in here. To learn that Wim Hof actually started what he's doing after losing his wife. And it was literally a way for him to not go completely mental and crazy and like really lose his cool, his mindset, really. I don't know how to put that in appropriate terms, but he was really, that was life-saving for him. And he started doing it to save himself, basically. And now he's saving hundreds and thousands of people around the world,
millions,
method, which is really amazing. So I love that you have brought that into your life and then into everybody else's life, and that we benefit from it on a weekly basis. I want you to have a bit of an ad break here as well, because first of all, I actually rudely interrupted you. I'm gonna, while I interrupted you, read out the comment from Terry. I need my glasses for that. Terry, when you write that much, I can't guess it. Breathwork is so vital to my healing and survival. Just had a cool session with my swim coach. Yeah, because Terry does breathwork pretty much on a daily basis. She's got a swim coach who's she's doing breathing with, and I don't know why, I'm not sure. Did you ever meet Terry and Paul? I'm not really sure if you ever have met. I don't think so.
I'm not sure.
Before I go to the ad break, I want you to be able to finish your story, because you said you had your breakdown, you were not able to leave the house, and then you got into the breathwork meditation. Tell us how you got out of that and how you got back into the real world, basically, after that, locking yourself away for weeks.
I went back to nature. Simple as that. I took myself for a bushwalk because I love getting out into nature, and a question got put to me because I was just like literally just locking myself in a box just because I didn't know what to do, and I couldn't talk to anyone on the phone without kind of bursting out and crying, and there's so much raw emotion that was going on. It was terrible. And then I remember Jack, my wife, saying, well, what can you do? What do you know will work for you that'll help you to ground yourself or rebalance or something?
Bless you, Jack.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's all, for me, it's always been the ocean and nature. And so I got back to that because we lived at the beach, and getting back out into the bushwalk, it just allowed me to stop and look around and be present, as opposed to being in the emotion and the stress and the challenge.
Did you have your kids at the time already?
No, that was just before. We were pregnant with our first one, So it was during that. So that was coming in my whole life process too. I was like, I couldn't work that much and be this stressed and bring up another human in that environment that I was
I can only imagine.
So emotional and tired, and it wasn't great. So I was like, something needs to change. And so it was a gradual thing. It wasn't like, bang, now I'm better. It's like I had to work on it. We ended up going back to work, having conversations with them about it. Those people didn't really care too much, so I left and started following the path.
You just brushed over that. Such a huge decision of leaving that. People didn't care too much, so I left. Like, no,
it wasn't that simple, but it's not something we need to go into. It's just a moment in time that was an opportunity to step out and step into more of what I wanted to do, which was I started using the breathwork in the morning to, at the time I ended up started working in the city, so at a gym in the city. I loved it. It was so good. It was such a big change. And I was able to meditate every morning on the train, because an hour ride in every morning. Awesome. So that helped me to get things into perspective. Meditation and breath work, it's not about the actual process of it. It's what it does is just allows you just to stop, pull yourself back in, be present. And again, another, like, I always want to learn. So I went into a deeper course on learning different techniques and what they specifically do and the science behind them around breath work. So it's not just like, oh yeah, let's just breathe. There's different tempos, styles, things that shift your body and your nervous system and all these different parts of it, and just, immune system and all sorts of things, emotions. There's so much into it. And again, it was like this, wow, there's so much you can do with your body, with your breath, with your mind. And it was just like this new revelation of like, let's do more. Let's find out more. Let's start using this. And through that time as well, like just being conscious of time, having some pretty traumatic experiences through having a mate of mine commit suicide a few years back. And then realizing that I could have or wanted to help. And then it was like that moment of just do the work, go and share it, go and help. So it's like that, a triggering hard moment, but able to reawaken an idea that's been there all along.
Mm.
And then since then, it's just kind of just been able to put it into play and have helped a lot of people and add in all the modalities and everything that I've been through to get to a point of helping people through moments of, there's all sorts of levels. So simple basic emotions, or just getting life experiences, to high anxiety, to suicide, to depression, and just getting their lives back on track. But it all comes back to where we all began, is back to yourself, getting people, I guess, finding themselves and trusting themselves. That's a huge part.
This touches me really, really deeply. And allow me to say this one thing, you know, with your mate that committed suicide, I often feel there is such a, what do you call it, like a crossroad, you know, when we experience something so deeply. I just had goosebumps just thinking about it. When we experience something, such a cut in our lives, you know, somebody committing suicide, losing somebody so close to us, there's this crossroad where we stand, where we can go down the road of what could I have done, or why did I not save him, or could I have saved him, or what ifs, you know. I call it the path of what ifs that doesn't lead us anywhere. It's not productive, it's not helping you, it's not helping your mate that has committed suicide. For us to accept that this was his decision is probably one of the hardest things, one of the most challenging things, to accept that it was his decision. And it's not the what ifs or could I have, yet also to see it as a huge wake-up call for, this is what you could do, this is what you can do, and maybe that's the exact reason, or maybe that was this really important part of your soul contract, why the two of you became mates, why you shared this path together for a while, for you to have this extra push to go like, okay, this is where I'm meant to be, this is what I need to do. Not for him to have given his whole life for you to go there, but this is maybe the extra push that you needed. You know, this is like a little gift in adversity for you to see that, wow, this is where I'm meant to be. You know, this is where I need to step up. This is where I'm meant to step out of the shadows, step out of the hiding. And for me, I found that more and more when people talk to me about Rob, and I bet you must still, and I bet you must be that, and they come with all their usual expectations from society, where I'm supposed to be, or where they think that what I must still be feeling. And I'm standing here going like, you know what, no, I actually feel good where I'm at right now. This is exactly where I'm meant to be. But it took me a long time to be able to actually voice that, to be able to allow myself to feel that it's okay where I'm at, and to realize that Rob and I had a soul contract, and this was his part of it. This was his contribution. And what a huge act of love that was for him to pass where he did. And this is all stuff that came to me in a really intense healing journey that didn't just come to me overnight and I was like, oh, okay, I get it, and you move forward. It's all a process in life, but I think the processing in life only happens when we allow ourselves for it to happen, when we allow ourselves to open our hearts and minds to the possibility that this is all happening for us. And what am I doing with it? You know, that's the exact question, coming back to what you said at the very beginning. What am I doing with this now? So what did you do with it, Paul?
Nothing. No, yeah, absolutely. Sorry. Nervous jokes. Yeah, it's again, it's a constant journey, and it is that recognition. Like then it was like there was so much raw emotion, but it was a very strong determination to go,
yeah,
you know, enough's enough. Like you're not helping yourself, you're not helping anyone by holding the information that I've learned back. I just didn't know how to put it into words or into processes to help. So I got help to do that. And so now, you know, on lots of different levels, working with people to be able to learn how to shift the emotion for themselves through breath work and mindset, right? And keeping it as simple as possible, because it, you know, life and emotions and stuff are hard enough to try and understand without having to go, let's work out how this anxiety works. It's like, we just need to shift it. look into it, use it, transform it, but then trust in ourselves that we've got this. We've made a plan and we're going through the stages. As hard as that may be at times, we've still, again, the allowance, the biggest thing that I've learned is to accept where we're at each moment in time, to let it go, not let go of the experience, but let go of the emotion to a degree where we can see beyond the blinkers. I always say this, when we're in the moment, we're in the pressure, the stress, the emotion, we've got these blinkers on where that's what we see. Yet the breath allows us to open up, literally open up our awareness and our breath and our body, brings us back in the center and be able to focus so you can deal with the situations and a lot more clearer and less emotion, because the more emotion we bring into stuff, our intelligence drops to a degree. So being able to open up and be a bit more, you see the opportunities or you feel better, even just to feel a little bit better.
Yeah.
So my work now is about that, is about reconnecting people to themselves through breathwork and meditation classes, through workshops and bigger trainings and one-on-one sort of stuff as well, where we incorporate everything. We get the mindset, we get the breath work, we get physical work in there, but it's all the same baseline. There's like breath, connect to self, refine what we are here for and to do, and to learn from our experiences as much as possible so we can grow. And
your sessions, Paul, are so incredibly powerful. I have no words. Seriously, like I remember when I came to you before COVID hit, and it was easier to do that. I mean, now we are in a different world again, but there was this huge break that we had in between, and I was driving 45 minutes twice a week to see you as a personal trainer. And people were like, why do you drive 45 minutes to see a personal trainer? There are so many in town. I'm like, you haven't met Paul. It's not just the personal trainer, you get so much with it. The mindset, the breath work, the visualization that we did. It is so incredibly powerful what you do. I can't even put that into words. I was always struggling to explain to people what we actually do there, because I'm like, you've got no idea. This is not, because I'm like, I'm seeing my PT and I'm driving 45 minutes. 45, you nuts? Why do you drive that far? There's so many in town. I'm like, yeah. So the work that you do, it really is hard to describe, because you throw so much in there and you've got such a wealth of experience, and you're really living and breathing your experiences literally, and it's just really beautiful what you bring to the plate. So what I would love for you to do, Paul, because we're like literally at the end of this, I can't believe how fast an hour goes when you're having so much fun. And there's so much more to tell. It's really incredible. I will have to bring you back in a new year for another interview. But for now, I'd really love for you to, I'm asking you to share the links, how people can get in touch with you. Also share your Instagram so people can follow you on there, because you always share about courses, etc. on Instagram as well. So whatever you want to share, as many links as you want to share, please put them in the comments below the interview so people can find it easily. But I also want to come back to, who's Paul through the retreat? Oh, did you meet Paul? No, Paul wasn't at the retreat, but he will be at the upcoming retreat. So you just spoiled it for us, Terry. No, not spoiled. It's actually a perfect reminder for those people who are coming to the retreat. Paul will be doing something at the end of the retreat with us, and I'm not giving any more away than that, but it will be amazing. So for those of you who still want to hear more about the retreat, let me know and get in touch with me ASAP. And Paul, would you do us the honor before we leave to give us a bit of an idea, because you do regular breathwork meditation sessions 4 times a week that people can join. Like, I'm only doing it once a week at the moment, but it's just really, really incredible. Can you share a little bit about that? And then of course we'll share the link in the comments below as well, but give people a bit of an idea what to expect there.
Yeah, of course. The excuse me. We'd say again, with the sessions that we do, we tap into, basically the start of the week is about getting your vision ready for yourself, for your day, for your week. So we do some visualization and get your intentions for what you want to create. And it's just, could be as simple as I just want to feel better, or it could be like I want to, build my business to whatever, or whatever's going on for you. So we tap into your intuition to bring up the information for you. So we start getting conscious about getting unconscious, is how I say it, is tapping into our intuition on the highest level, by allowing ourselves to get the things that we need out of the meditations. And everyone gets their own experience. It's healing, it's inspiration, it's all sorts of stuff. So each journey we go through, connecting to yourself is key, number one, with mental focus, but also the breath work. And then we just go through a few different stages that take you on a journey through the breath work, but also helps you to transition any emotions, and to be able to bring it all together to reawaken your true spirit within your purpose, within your focus in your life, and just to help you to ease and rejuvenate your body at the same time. And then we go into a nice depth of meditation. So the breath work just sets you up for a great space. Like if you've meditated your whole life, if you've never meditated before, it is perfect, because the breath work literally shifts your nervous system and your body into a relaxed state. So then you naturally go into that meditation, and you go on a beautiful journey after that.
It's incredible. It's like there's like not in, like I'm listening to you and I know what it means, and I'm still thinking it still doesn't cut it. What you get there, there's no words to actually describe that. But I really want to emphasize that there's no previous experience necessary, and I can only say from my own experience, like having done this with you now for a couple of months, on a regular basis, is really something where I was blown away by how quickly I got into that. In a second session, it was almost like a body memory. My body already knew what to do, and I got straight into this space. And something that I want to share here also, and it's not like a promise that this will happen to everyone, but on a very personal experience, I found this space, and I'm going to use your words for it because you said that so nicely, Paul. You said, so you found this space between the two worlds. And in almost every meditation, I think there was only one where it didn't happen. In almost every breathwork meditation with you, I meet Rob. He's always there. He always comes in. He sits with me. It's almost like it's like our weekly catch up, which is really incredible. And I just absolutely love it because he always comes in as guidance. And I just really love that. It is such a normal thing for me now. At first I was completely overwhelmed and touched by it, and now it's such a normal thing that he just comes in. And he was in today's meditation again in a completely different role, so to say, but it's just really beautiful to have that space for yourself where intention meets intuition, and you really get into a space of becoming your own creator. That's how I want to describe it, becoming your own creator of what is the outcome that you would like to have. And there's so much guidance and spiritual awakening and connection on an energetic level, like worldwide, globally, and universally even. It's incredible. I have no words to describe that. So we'll be sharing the link because we're now over time already, which is okay. But we'll be sharing the link in the comments below. Paul is in the group here. I invited him in to be able to get back to any comments, questions that you may have. Also, in terms of if you want to work with Paul one-on-one or go on a deeper level or journey with him, I have no words. I can highly, highly recommend Paul here. So I know we are past the time. So Paul, have you got any final words that you want to share here, or any points that you want to emphasize one more time before we move everyone to it?
Yeah, I think if we've got another hour, should be fine. Let's continue. I wish. Yeah, so much that we can add and offer into this, but I think the key part is be easy on yourself. Keep things as simple as possible. Trust your guidance system, the EGS, as I call it, the emotional guidance system, to guide you to do the things that help you to feel better. It doesn't have to be, I'm feeling great all the time. It's like just one little thing in the moment. Yeah. Keep it simple and keep it connected. And yeah, I'll put up a little, see if we can put an audio in. There's a little audio in the little breathwork one. It just helps you to reset and just to practice the technique, just to help with any emotional stuff as well. I think if you can just tap into that little bit of breath work, just to help you with that space, it's such a key tool to help you through life in every sort of level. So,
and we're talking in Australian time zone here, but you run these meditations every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday morning, early morning, and again, we will be posting the links in the comments below, and you can certainly get in touch with Paul. What's your favorite way of getting people to connect with you if they want to reach out and send you a message or whatever? What's your preferred option?
Instagram at the moment. There's a link on there, and you can book in a time for a chat, or just send me a message, and then we can work something out from there.
We'll be sharing the Insta link as well. So, Paolo, thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here. I really love what you shared. I know that I have to bring you back in the new year for another interview, because I knew we'd run out of time, but there's so much more to share, and I am really looking forward to having you back here. So thank you so much for coming today. Thank you for sharing your time and energy.
It's been amazing. I hope it helps in some way, and everyone has an awesome day, night, sleep, all the above. Thank you so much for having me on board.
Thank you so much, everyone, and also the people in Austria who stayed up to watch this.
Yes.
So much love to all of you. This is Paolo and Marie signing off. Thank you, and bye for now.
Hey guys.